folks. Thank you, Senator. My name is Evan Goyke. I had the pleasure of driving here today from Milwaukee. I want to confess Tom was absolutely right. I inherited non-consensually the love of politics and the Democratic Party from my parents, Gary and Nancy, who are in the back of the room. If they could get another round of applause for my mom and dad. They are phenomenal Democrats and terrible dancers. And I am both of those things too, I hope. I want to just tell you a little background. I represent part of the central city of Milwaukee. My district, which contains 57,000 people, is just over 3,600 acres in size. So it's smaller than a number of farms here in Clark County. And we're all jammed in tight together. As the senator mentioned, it's a majority-minority district. And you may think, what the heck is this kid doing up in Clark County? But the truth is that we share a future. Our public schools share a future, our clean water and clean air, our infrastructure. And if the food is grown up here, it's eaten down by me, and we all have a shared future. And I came up here today in part to learn from the wonderful folks that I got to speak with earlier tonight. And I think it is a great exercise for my colleagues in Milwaukee and Madison to leave those cities and get a little fresh air and talk to folks around the state. And so I come here to get an education. I want to leave with two things. I was struck by what Senator Feingold said and what he talked about. So I want to say two things. One is an announcement, and the second is a plan. So first, here's my big announcement. I have dumped Scott Walker. I've broken up with him. He's done. I've deleted him from my contact list. I've unfriended him on Facebook. I'm not going to talk about Scott Walker anymore because I'm not getting much out of that relationship. It's not healthy, so I've decided for my own health, I'm breaking up with Scott Walker. And I suggest and I hope that all of you decide to break up with him too. Because for over 4 years, in my opinion, the Democratic Party has talked too frequently about Scott Walker.
Hear, hear.
We have obsessed about the governor and about Fitzgerald and about Mr. Voss. And when we talk about them, we can't talk about ourselves. When you talk to a Republican, that your neighbor or your coworker, you only have their attention for a few seconds. And if you use those precious seconds to talk about the guy that they already like, you're not going to convince them to come over to our side. So please, break up with Scott Walker. When we do that, and we free ourselves of the baggage of talking about Republicans and what they're doing, we allow ourselves the second part of what I want to talk about tonight, which is the plan. What did Senator Feingold talk about? He talked about minimum wage, family leave, student loans, and Social Security. He talked about good democratic ideas. And he took a couple shots at his opponent, and Senator Johnson deserves that. But I implore you to talk to your neighbors and your coworkers about why you're a Democrat. And if you are at all like me or my parents, you are not a Democrat because you don't like Republicans. You're a Democrat because of Social Security or because of John Kennedy or LBJ. I am a Democrat because I believe it is fundamentally unfair that a child tomorrow would be born into poverty and not have the wonderful opportunities to see the world and get a quality education that I had. I think that's unfair. And the Democratic Party lines up with that ideology, and the Republican ideology does not. And so when I talk about why I'm a Democrat, and you all talk about why you're Democrats, we take the power back, and we need to stop talking about our opponents and their ideas. And yes, it's hard. I've been in Madison 6 weeks in a row watching changes to our campaign finance laws and our Government Accountability Board, and they are bad. But we can hold them accountable better, in my estimation, by putting forward a more proactive, positive agenda. It is my opinion, and I hope that you share it with me, that we can win more seats by being positive and putting forth an alternative, policy agenda rather than lamenting about the folks that are in office now. Let me say one final thing. And again, this relates to what Senator Feingold said about listening. I will try my very hardest to put forward a number of ideas in Madison that can equip you to convince your neighbor to become a Democrat. Ideas like student loan refinancing or strengthening Social Security. But you know those next ideas too. I think that Peter introduced 24 board chairmen and county board and former county board. For those of you that serve in local office, you are intimately connected to your constituents and to your community. You literally see and smell and feel the struggles and the challenges, and you can identify where government is falling short to the neighbors and to your constituents. Please call me. Please call Martha Lanning and Russ Feingold and share with us what is happening in Thorpe and in Owen and in Abbotsford so that we can turn that into quality public policy, so that we can communicate in a positive way and turn Clark County blue. We're not going to outspend them. We are going to our shoe leather will be worn ragged. We'll outwork them. But we have to come up with a new set of ideas that brings folks back to this room and to our party. My promise to you is to do my very best to ensure that those good ideas become public policy in Madison, but I need your help, and Martha Lanning needs your help. I live 4 hours away in a community that looks and sometimes feels very different than Clark County. My district matters, and your community matters too, and we need to communicate better about the priorities in Clark County and in Milwaukee and create that shared public policy agenda that uplifts and inspires people to rejoin and re-engage with the Democratic Party. Piece of cake, right? If Russ Feingold can do it in 72 counties across the state of Wisconsin, we can do it in 72 townships in Clark County. I can do it in 72 wards in the city of Milwaukee, and we can take this state back. Break up with Scott Walker and call me with all your great ideas. Simple. Thank you so much to all of the folks that educated me tonight on the beauty of Clark County and what's happening here in your community. Thank you. It was really a pleasure. And in closing, in Milwaukee County, when we have our Democratic County dinners, one of the things that we have as a tradition, and I hope that you join me in this, and even though they're in the back, could you please, before I finish, join me in a round of applause for all of the employees tonight that cooked our food and brushed our dishes and hosted us tonight, because they are the folks that we fight for every day. So with that, thank you so much for the audience.